Hey, everybody, welcome to the Friday edition of Winners and Winers Radio. I am your host, Scott Steehn, lead handicapper at winnersandwiners.com. You can catch me on Twitter at SteenRoller.
And I'm your co-host, Scott Reichel, senior handicapper over at winnersandwiners.com. You can catch me at Reichel Radio on Twitter.
And together we make up Winners and Winers Radio. All we ask, give us an hour and we'll give you the winners. Sound like a fair deal? All right, let's get rolling. We've got a lot to get to today. Got some NFL. Of course, we're going to be finishing up our group of five plus independents today. We're going to take a look at the AAC, and we're going to take a look at the independents in the college football world. And next week, we're going to be doing the big boys, and we're going to be doing them. I don't want to give anything away here, Scott. It's going to be alphabetical order. All right, so we're going to do ACC, Big 12, Big 10, and Pac-12, and the SEC on Friday. So you guys have that to look forward to next week. How's your day today, buddy? You all right?
Overall went well. I faded the Orioles, so I'm doing quite well for myself. How about you?
Free money. Free. Here's some more money for you. I don't know, man. I don't know when it's going to end. I really honestly don't. Mine went well for me. We had the under in the Arizona game. Madison Bumgarner looked good. When we were able to hold off a late rally, we had 8.5, managed to get it there at 8, no sweat, and then another no sweat victory on the New England and the Philadelphia Eagles under 38.5, and it's easy to hit the unders when only one team scores, Scott. Holy mackerel. Now, I know they say not to read too much into preseason, blah, 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 but
Eagles are bad.
Do you think Philadelphia really wants to? You think they want to look that bad? Come on. Where do they put the first-string quarterback in? When's that happening?
Last 6 quarters, they've been outscored 52-0.
That's not good.
It's an exhibition. Kick a field goal.
It's an exhibition. And, oh, no, their kicker was hurt tonight.
So that's a damn shame.
They didn't have a kicker. That's why they went for it on like 4th and 4 from the 12.
It really was kind of weird how Jalen Hurts got scratched during pregame warmups because of a stomach issue.
Right.
And they sent him to the hospital. How about some Pepto-Bismol, perhaps?
I don't know. I don't know. They had an update said it's an illness. It's non-COVID related. That's what they
heard. It was a stomach bug. That sounds like you could use some Tums or something.
You know, I feel like COVID gets all the press for any kind of illness right now. You know, they've discovered stage 4 stomach cancer. He's got 3 hours left to live, but it's not COVID, everybody. So calm down. Mm-hmm. I don't know, man. It worked out well for us because we had the under, and of course, we might have had that on our little BTF, our Bet the Farm play. Or can we start calling it BTF now, Scott?
We can call it whatever we want if we keep winning. But I took a live under in that, so I also cashed.
I took a live New England minus 5.5 after they scored the first touchdown. And so we're happy boys here. I hope everything went as well for you as it did for us today. I did lose my free play of the day. We had the Milwaukee Brewers on the run line, and then should have had them on the run line for the first 5 because they crapped the couch for the second part of that game, Scott.
That's an expression?
It's better than the one that would immediately come to mind, and
fair enough.
I can say on the radio. So, yeah, we're going to try to make that a thing too. He really crapped the couch today.
Mm-hmm.
You ever been at a party and done that?
No, but that belongs on a T-shirt.
Yeah, that's it. It's not good. I have not done it myself, but I have seen it done. Do not attempt it at home. That's all I'm saying. All right, my friend. But before we get rolling with all that other good stuff, quick reminder that we want to have you guys stick around. We are going to be bringing you our Friday edition of Bet the Farm. It is going to be another football play. I'm excited about it. I know you're excited about it. So, yeah, stick around for that. But before we do anything else, let's get rolling as we always do. Talk about the people that maybe their day didn't go as well. Scott, you know who you are. You thought you had a winner. All of a sudden, everything went south. And it was kind of like my Milwaukee game, except it was even more unexpected than that. Let's talk about it, Scott. Let's pick up that phone and call the cops. All right, very good. Let's get started as we so often do in the major leagues. And this is going to be the Detroit Tigers, Scott. If you had the Detroit Tigers on the money line, you're fading Quintana. You got to think that's a good deal. And it was, because after 5 innings, Detroit was up 10-2. Time to call off the dogs, get Miggy some rest. Yeah, no problem at all. Whoa, hang on. This is the Angels we're talking about here, Scott. You can't stop them. You can only hope to contain them. And the Detroit bullpen couldn't do any of that. They allowed the Angels to score 11 unanswered runs, and the Tigers, they scored no more. They peaked out after 5 innings. That game ended up 13-10 Angels. Holy crap, if you had the Tigers on the money line, you took one in the schnoz right there, and you should call the cops.
And the second one was in baseball. If you had the Mariners on the run line against the Rangers, you're up 7-2 going into the 9th inning. It's 7-4 with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th. Remember when the Mariners traded Kendall Graveman and they thought that was a very good idea?
Yeah, we talked about that we didn't think that was the best strategy.
Yeah, it didn't go too well either because at a 7-4 score, the Rangers hit a 3-run homer to tie the game with 2 outs. Then it went to extras. Mariners scored 2 runs in the 11th, so you're covering again, but the Rangers scored the guy on second base, ended up losing the game anyway, but the Mariners won 9-8, so you can rip up your -1.5 ticket.
Oof. All right, and we'll finish up with the game just down this road from me. If you had the Royals on the reverse run line +1.5 against those Astros, Royals going for the 4-game sweep. What do you think? 3-3 after 9 innings, pretty good shape. All you got to do is just, let them score 1 and walk it off. That's the kind of thing. And, of course, it wouldn't be a walk-off. They were the visiting team, but you know what I'm saying. But no, Royals couldn't do that. And that would be too un-Royals-like. They allowed the Astros to put up 3 in the top of the 10th. The Royals made a little bit of noise in the bottom of the 10th, but not enough, as the Astros ended up making a couple of nice defensive plays, and that saved it. That saved the run line. So if you had the Royals +1.5, it looked good for the entire game, all except for the last part, and then it looked really bad. Hey, call the cops.
Not a fun time.
Not a fun time at all. At least it was a lovely day, and you were out there at about 90-degree heat in Kansas City in the middle of the day. So, Scott, let's talk about the ones where things went a little better. We kind of alluded to one earlier, and we will I just saw what was on the list. We'll talk about that, but these are the ones. This is the spot you want to be. These are the gravy games, everybody. These are the ones where you are sitting in the rocking chair.
So the first one involved the Tampa Bay Rays -1.5 against Baltimore. And I think I should just end it at that, right? Because Baltimore gets killed every game, especially by Tampa. Tampa was up 7-0 very quickly. Game ended 7-2. If you had the Rays -1.5, -2.5, or like my co-host here, -3.5, you had yourself a nice, easy winner.
Unbelievable. Rays team total over. Rays first half.
That was my YouTube play.
Anything with the Rays fading the Baltimore. That was your freebie.
I had the 5.5.
Solid. Give the people what they want, buddy. Mm-hmm. Very nicely done. Hey, if you had the Diamondbacks against the Phillies, I think the Phillies are ready to get the hell out of Arizona. Diamondbacks +180 because why? Oddsmakers aren't learning much. They led 6-0 after 7. Phillies scored a couple there late, but nothing to even threaten, as they ended up winning 6-2. Did Arizona? And if you had the Arizona Diamondbacks +180, getting almost 2-1 on your money there at 9-5. That's a nice payday, and you are sitting in the rocking chair.
And the last one is the final chapter of a brief discussion that we had yesterday involving the Little League World Series.
Load up!
And we mentioned that a team was favored by 5.5 runs.
Load up!
A 7-inning game, and it was Hawaii. Now, Hawaii was taking on Connecticut, and Connecticut hit a solo home run to lead off the game. After that, it was all Hawaii because Hawaii led 7-1 after the 4th inning. I mean, led 8-1 after the 4th inning. Sorry, won the game 9-1. So if you had Hawaii money line at -800 for $2,000,
or didn't,
or if you had the -5.5, we talked about it on the air yesterday. But that was a pretty sharp side apparently because Connecticut needed 8.5 runs.
You could tell the oddsmakers were just daring you to take Connecticut. Daring you to take Connecticut. I didn't fall for the bait. I had -5.5. I don't care. I even had to pay -130 for it. Didn't care. I don't know who's pitching for them. Is it Timmy Chang? Who the hell is pitching for the Hawaii team?
That was a good quarterback.
Yeah, I know. I was just thinking somebody with an arm. I can't name an Hawaiian pitcher. I'm sorry.
Jesse
Orozco.
Okay, that's fair.
There you go. How about that? All right, guys. So that's it for the Rocket Chair. Oh, Scott, I love it. I love it when you do the sheet because he had the Little League World Series put in there because we talked about it yesterday. So, hey, drop us a comment. Tell us if that's out of bounds for you guys. If you guys are watching on YouTube, drop us a comment in the comment section. Tell us if you'd bet on the Little League World Series. If you had an angle, if you think you've got an advantage like that Hawaii team, tell me, do you care? Little League World Series, bet on anything? Dog show? Would you bet on the dog show, AKC dog show, Scott?
Would I do it? No, but I just want to keep in mind in the comment section down below on YouTube, it's a judgment-free zone. We've all been there before where we've bet on something we're not proud of.
Oh, no, we're not putting it out there to roast you. No,
I'm saying in general. No, I'm saying amongst themselves in the comment section. Be nice to everybody.
Yes, be nice to each other. I just want to see how many degens like me are out there. That's all I'm looking for. I wasn't proud of myself until they won, and I was very proud of myself. So, all right, Scott. I feel like this award that we're about to hand out, I feel like if we had been doing this show for, say, 5 years, that the gentleman that won the award today would be a multiple award winner. Would you agree with that?
I think I'd have to, just because of the fact that this guy is a particular character.
It is. It is. I know. Okay, we've teased you enough, guys. It's time. It's the Friday edition. We're going to see who's going to strap on the golden feed bag and wear the crown. It's time once again, kids, for Donkey of the Day. You know, I want to stop that about halfway through, but it seems like you got to wait for him to finish. Mm-hmm. It seems like it would be rude. Donkus interrupt us there. Well, Scott, there's a young fella playing football down there in Tampa Bay, and he's had can we say a checkered past?
That's one way to put it. You can also say that he's been arrested a couple of times and he's had some issues. But yeah, sure, checkered past works.
But good news. Earlier this week, I read an article that said he has totally turned over a new leaf. Everything has changed, Scott. So we're going to check in with Antonio Brown. Scott, could you give us an AB update?
Well, he won a Super Bowl, so that's kind of the bright spot from this past season.
Back to you, Scott.
Yeah, he was in practice, and a week after he said he turned over a new leaf and the drama was behind him and he's ready to start a new chapter, he kind of started a brawl in the joint practice with the Titans. He punched somebody in the face, and both teams ended up getting into a bit of a skirmish. I'm not exactly sure how long the skirmish took place, and I know that you always have a fight or two in preseason every now and then, but just because of Antonio Brown's past and the fact that he literally just said that he's going to put all the drama behind him, right, maybe you shouldn't start a fight that gets half your teammates into a massive skirmish that they shouldn't have been in the first place.
Can you imagine Bruce Arians watching Tom Brady in the middle of some skirmish thinking, there goes my hero? You think Brady was able to get out of the way?
I'm assuming he could have. If it was Joe Judge, Brady would have had to run the laps.
I just don't picture Brady in there mixing it up.
I don't either, because he has better things to do.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, that's and who are they practicing with?
The Titans.
The Titans, that's right. Oh, my God. Can you imagine? Now, I bet Mike Vrabel wades in the middle of that.
I think Vrabel might be leading the pile.
He just starts ripping guys on. So does it mean anything? I mean, no, not really. He's not going to be. I mean, there could be some internal discipline or something like that, but it's not going to be any kind of a fine or suspension from the league. It's just a bad look for a guy that really kind of needs to keep his nose extremely clean, and that nose was a little bit bloody to practice.
I mean, you can make
yesterday.
You can make a serious case that Antonio Brown shouldn't be in the league anymore because of half the stunts that he's pulled over the past couple of years. And I'm not going to talk about the fact that he won a Super Bowl anyway, because, it was either him or Le'Veon Bell, and both of them had their own situations going on in the last couple of years. Antonio Brown's, of course, being a lot worse from a legality standpoint.
Yeah. I don't really think, and I'm not a big Le'Veon Bell fan, but you can't really equate, being a prima donna and holding out with some of the legal problems.
Oh, no, of course not. I'm saying in the mind of Steelers fans, it was a lose-lose situation watching that Super Bowl. But as a whole, Antonio Brown is just a massive diva. We already know that. It's not like that's a secret at this point. So you might make an argument that it's not a big deal. You know, fights happen sometimes, but I would say that he's still the distraction that he tries to not be, which is a bit concerning when you're trying to defend a title.
Absolutely true. Absolutely true. All right, now, and we'll give you the winners. Scott, we're going to talk about a game here on this next segment that you and I touched on a little bit yesterday. We were a little incredulous as what was going on with this total to start with, and it looked like we were extremely correct because I don't understand it, didn't understand it then, really don't understand it now. Scott, let's pour one out and do a shot, shall we? I think, once again, the odds makers were drunk. Oh, we're taking a look at the Tampa Bay Rays and the Baltimore. No, we're not. No, we're not. We've retired them. Scott, what are we looking at today?
We're going to be looking at a daytime game from yesterday between the Angels and the Tigers. And you want to do the honors on this one? You want me to do it?
I will. We'll. The total was set for this game at 9.5. Scott, that doesn't seem like an unreasonable amount between the Angels and the Tigers, and neither team is tremendous offensively. But there were some extenuating circumstances, namely, who's on the mound, Scott? It was our old buddy Jose Quintana going for the Angels. I didn't know he was still there. I'm assuming he would have been DFA'd or wear cement shoes in the Bay, something. I didn't know that he was even still a thing. And, of course, the youngster Matt Manning was on the mound for the Tigers. Manning had shown flashes. He hadn't been as consistently horrible as Quintana, but, you know, he can definitely be got to. Scott, we talked about it yesterday on the show. 9.5 seemed like a really low number for this game, and it seemed like a stupid number. And it ended up being a pretty stupid number. Tell me what happened in this game, Scott.
Well, Quintana got shelled. Manning struggled, but he kind of held his own a little bit. But anyway, total was 9.5 for the full game. You had 11 runs in the first 4 innings.
That's good.
And the game landed at 23.
That's a lot of runs, Scott.
That's a lot of runs.
I mean, did Buck Farmer give up, you know?
I don't even want to know. I don't even know if they use him anymore. Nothing would surprise me with Detroit, but the only thing I know is when you're talking about how Quintana's still there, my argument would be that Keegan Aiken's still pitching every single 5-6 days for Baltimore. I don't know why he's still on a team.
Keegan Aiken's going tonight, buddy.
Yes, he is, but I'm saying in general, a couple of teams have pitchers where they probably shouldn't be in the league anymore.
We talked about it yesterday about the guy that had made 19 starts with a 6.7 ERA. Like, how?
Shout out to Arrieta.
Yeah, exactly. Like, how is that even a thing? Why are you not DFA'd? What are we doing?
They also just signed him. That was even worse.
That's like when you go to the pound and you see a dog there, pick a breed, it doesn't matter. And they go, well, this dog bites everybody. It doesn't matter who you are. You can be nice to him. You can have food. It doesn't matter. He's going to bite you. Well, you know what? Give me that dog. I'm going to take that dog home. And you get the dog home. You get him out of the car. He bites you. You're like, oh, who could have seen that coming? So, yeah, Jake Arrieta sucked, and then they traded for him. Still sucks. I don't get it. I don't get it. And I don't. And the amount of money these guys are making. All right, get off my lawn on you kids. Okay, Scott, that's enough. That's enough ranting. But yeah, that was it's seriously 9. What was the live number in that? 21.5, 22.5. Where do you think the highest live number got? Did somebody take it over and get beat? Did they eventually have it?
Yeah.
You're like, no.
Well, I'm not going to include the later innings, but if you want to talk about 7th inning, maybe right when the Angels were making the comeback, I'm assuming the live line was probably 22.5.
Yeah. I don't think anybody. I think the odds makers were drunk, and I think they paid for it because probably every live over hit.
Yep.
All right, Scott, I know you're a Jets fan. This is a sad day. Speaking of pouring one out, I'm going to pour one out for you and for Carl Lawson. Big-time pass rusher there for the Jets. Ruptured his Achilles in practice yesterday. So I know this is the question that you wanted to ask. The Jets team total is 6, or it's a juice 6.5 to the under. Now, does this injury guarantee that the Jets will come in last place in the AFC East? And I have to tell you, when I saw that question, what did I ask you?
Weren't they going to come in last anyway automatically?
Right. Who are they going to beat in the East? Can you tell me a team? Who are they going to beat, Scott?
I think maybe they can sneak one by Miami, and
Don't sell you, New York.
maybe if Tua just has a really awful game, but it wasn't really about coming in last place. I know some books let you bet on who's going to come in fourth, and the Jets were the clear favorites in that, but it's mostly about the win total. Of course, the Jets signed Lawson during the offseason, paid him a decent amount of money, and that really just went right to the shredder because he's not going to play this season. But that total I thought was too high to begin with for the Jets. I don't want to say that they're a lock for the under, but I just don't see how they're going to even win 6 games to push.
I'm looking at their schedule here, and I'm trying to figure out how many games they're going to be favored in. I see 2 possibilities: at home against Jacksonville and at home against Philadelphia. Oh, I'm sorry, and at Houston. It's possible if Houston is as bad as we think they are, and of course if Watson doesn't play, it's possible they'll be favored in 3 games.
The only thing I know is that if that's why I was
Cincinnati, okay.
That's why I was asking about the division, because if you're going to automatically say they're getting swept by Miami and automatically getting swept by Buffalo and New England, so if they hypothetically go 0-6 in division, there's no point in even talking about the out of division because they're just going to win like 3 games.
I'll give you 1. I'll give you 1 in the division. I think that's probably high. I think the division, if they had a division line, I think the number would be half for the over under.
I think it would be 1.5. Heavily juiced to the under, but I think it would be 1.5.
I'll pay that under all day. So
you have 6. You have 6 division games. Odds are you find a way to win 1.
You'd think.
Yeah.
Were you? Did you expect anything out of the Jets this season?
I thought they might be competent, which is really just a step in the right direction for this team. I think the hardest part about it's the fact that Lawson is supposed to be one of the best players on the defensive side of the ball, along with C.J. Mosley, who's finally back healthy. I don't know if he can stay healthy, but he's healthy for now. It was mostly just seeing if he had a serious untapped potential with an elite defensive mind with Robert Saleh at the helm. You were kind of hoping that the Jets' defense for a ceiling would be top 10 in the league. Is that fair?
Yeah, I would think so.
Without Lawson, the pass rush is terrible. I still think the secondary is fine. And the linebacking core...
They did a good rush defense for a while.
Yeah, and the linebacking core should be okay if Mosley stays healthy, but their pass rush just literally went from maybe mediocre to bottom 5 in the span of about 1 day.
They went from acceptable to the Tennessee Titans, basically.
Pretty much. Now, of course, Saleh's going to dial up some blitzes, and they'll find ways to get around it. But as a whole, if you cannot generate pressure directly with 4 guys in a standard pass rush, you're going to lose a lot of games.
Agreed. I totally agree. Especially the in that division where you've got some. Of course, New England's going to run it down your throat. But as far as Buffalo goes, they're gonna throw the ball. Miami's probably going to throw the ball. So not pretty, Scott. Not pretty at all. So sorry, buddy. I'll pour one out for you Jets fans. Hey, let's talk a little hockey, shall we, Scott? I forgot. I thought we were going to talk about hockey when I previewed the show. Sabres #1 draft pick, Owen Powell, going back to college. 1 more season, Scott. He's the first #1 pick not to play in his team's NHL season opener since 2007 and 2008. I believe. Sorry, I think I misspoke, Scott. I think I said Powell. It was Owen Power.
Great name for a hockey player.
My bad. Not as good as Will Power, the driver, but it's still pretty good, right up there. So, does this surprise you, Scott? Somebody that's not all about the do-re-mi?
It doesn't fully surprise me. If you've been listening to the show for a while, we actually talked about this about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, and Power said directly that he was going to go back to school. Now, Buffalo drafted him anyway. Just to be clear, this isn't a Bo Jackson Buccaneer situation where he can just choose to not play for the team. Buffalo still owns his rights. He's just delaying when he's coming over. So you see that in the NBA with some guys from Europe. They'll spend another year in either like a Real Madrid or any of these other countries, and then they'll come over the year after. Like, that's a thing that's happened before. But hockey, it's pretty rare. If you want to talk about what the frequency of this is, it's not even just talking about college. It's just any player could potentially go back to Europe, etc. but he's the first number 1 pick to not play in his team's NHL season opener since 2007, 2008. So it's kind of, I don't want to say uncharted territory, but it's rare. If he wants to go back to college and compete for a college title, I wouldn't agree with him from a business perspective. But what are the Sabres supposed to say? They knew that he was probably going to go back after the season because he told them he was going to, and they drafted him anyway. So, yeah, I'm not surprised by it, but I do think it's an interesting business decision.
Well, and Michigan, how did they do this year? Because they're not traditionally a huge power in hockey. I mean, they're good, but they're not like the Minnesota schools. They're not like North Dakota. Are they in that tier with those schools?
I would say Michigan is maybe a little step behind Minnesota, or maybe a Minnesota Duluth has been really good for the last couple of years. Boston College is usually good. Pretty much the BU is good. You have a couple of teams there that are always in the running. I know Quinnipiac was randomly good for the last couple of years, but I think Michigan, they're guaranteed to make the actual tournament every year. I'd say they usually make the Frozen Four or the Elite Eight, and then they lose. I don't think they win many titles, but they're definitely a top 10 program in all of college hockey.
Okay. All right. So obviously he gives them a fighting chance there because he's that good. And just to be clear, he's the number 1 overall pick, not just the number 1 pick for the Sabres, because they did have the first pick in the draft, correct?
1.01.
Okay. That's what I just wanted to make sure. You know who he looks like, Scott? Have you seen his picture?
He's a huge defenseman.
If he grew his hair out, do you know who he'd look like?
No idea.
He'd look like one of the Hanson brothers.
Okay. Well, I feel like that's what you're looking for.
Not the band Hanson. Not the Umbop boys. No, from Slapshot.
He needs the glasses, though.
He's got the glasses.
I'm saying he needs them a little bit more thick.
Oh yeah. He's got to have a little worse vision. So yeah, very good. So congratulations, going back to get his education. I don't know what his degree is in. I doubt he'll need it, but you never know. So congratulations for somebody that's and it's not like I said, it's not like the baseball situation where you can draft him and go back in the draft 2 years later, or somebody else takes you. They own you. Buffalo owns you. So never a good place to be. Sorry, Buffalo. Sorry, guys. All right. And finally, Scott, Dan Campbell. See, I got it right. Dan Campbell. He is the coach of the Detroit Lions, and he's getting criticism mainly from Twitter. When we say somebody's getting criticism, it's really not from anybody in particular. It's just from the Twitterverse. It's from Lions Twitter, because that's a great place to be. He cut poor deep snapper Don Muehlbach. It was Don Muehlbach's 40th birthday, Scott. Is it a bad look? I mean, can you wait till the next day, or, of course, then you're like having a party, and can you see, like, he's getting ready to blow out the candles, and he says, "What should I wish for?" And Dan Campbell says, "Whatever you're thinking right now, you might want to change it up, because I've got a better wish that you should be wishing for." And then you cut him the next day, right? You say, "I need to bring me a piece of cake and your playbook." Is it a bad look? Are you okay with this? Are we just trying to roast Campbell for no reason?
Well, the silver lining is that Muehlbach could have had another beer at his party because he didn't have to go to work the next day.
Good point.
So I guess that's the silver lining there. But is it a bad look? It's the same exact situation as breaking up with a girlfriend, either like on your anniversary or on her birthday. It's the same idea. It's just a question of, a lot of people know that that's a scummy thing to do, but it's also a business. So in general, I'm assuming you are against the idea of breaking up with somebody on their respective birthday.
It's not cool.
Yeah.
If you don't know it's coming. No. Now I'm all for, if you want to break up with somebody before their birthday, before Valentine's Day, before Christmas, that's a sound financial decision right there. I have no problem with that whatsoever.
That's a better question, though. Did he know he was going to get cut? Did he just snap 4 times over the punter's head? And it's just like, I know I'm gone, but it's my birthday, so maybe I can buy another day.
Philly might be looking for a deep snapper. Oh no, that was just on a regular play, wasn't it? That was just a regular shotgun formation where they're looking for a lot of things, aren't they?
Yeah, I was going to say Philly needs backups at every position, potentially coach.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, so yeah, that's not cool. Not a great look. You'd think the first year coach would maybe have a little bit of respect for the veteran there. Could you ever be a deep snapper? Is there any other position in sports that's like a deep snapper, Scott, where that's literally all you do? You're a specialist.
I would say no, but you can make an argument that being like the third string quarterback, you never see the actual field.
Yeah.
But if your only job is to hold the field goal, just to hold the ball in place,
Right.
I guess that's similar because you're only coming in for basically one play at a time.
Yep. Very good. All right, guys. Well, we're going to do our previews as we promised. We're going to take a look at first the independent schools, and then we're going to take a look at the American Athletic Conference. Spoiler alert, that's where the best group of 5 school plays, and we'll be talking about them right after this message. Not bad. Not bad.
I'm still annoyed at my overall connection, though. I don't really know what the story is.
I'm going to have to do if you know when it's happening, just stop talking and I'll go back and edit out all the fucking blank spots.
Well, that's what I've been doing. I've been trying to time it.
Yeah.
But I'm not really sure because I know that we never really had this issue in the past. It just seems recent.
It's not to this extent.
Yeah.
All right. 5 seconds.
Cool.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to the second half of Winners and Whiners Radio. Give us an hour and we'll give you the winners. And that's what we're going to do right now, Scott. I am excited for college football season, man. Are you ready?
Ready to go. We're already almost halfway through with all the conferences.
Yep. We've taken care of the appetizers, and now we have pretty much steak and lobster for the entire next week. So, and I don't want to give short shrift to some of these schools. I'm a big fan of the group of 5 schools getting some recognition. And it appears, Scott, I don't want to jump the gun here, but it appears that the direction that college football is headed, we're going to see less of these schools, not more of them. So I don't like that. But let's start with the independents, Scott. There are currently 7 independent schools in NCAA Division I or FBS football, if you prefer. It is Notre Dame, Liberty, BYU, Army. Then it gets a little weaker, Scott. UMass, New Mexico State, and University of Connecticut. So the first question I have to ask, Scott, is of Connecticut, Massachusetts, and New Mexico State, which team is worse?
I'm actually going New Mexico State.
New Mexico State. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's solid. I think you can certainly make a case for that. And which team is the best? Is it obviously Notre Dame, or is BYU going to have anything for them?
Oh, I thought you meant out of the bottom 3. I was going to say UConn. But
okay. Out of the bottom 3, you think UConn's the – so if they had a round robin tournament, number 1, nobody would come. But number 2, UConn would be the ultimate winner.
Yeah, UConn has at least some resemblance of a defense, and I think they can maybe do enough to beat UMass and New Mexico State, but I'd glue my eyes to it. It'd be like Akron versus Bowling Green, but in a round-robin tournament.
Oh, that's a classic every year, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And just so you know, the win total, I'm gonna hit it here real quick, Scott, because we'll do this. And win total for UMass, over under 1.5. Where are you playing?
I'm going to save that for a bit.
Okay, good. Let's go to New Mexico State, over under 1.5.
Under.
Yep, I think the only winnable game I see on that schedule is UTEP. Everything else, I think there's a good chance they're going to be double-digit dogs. I like that play quite a bit.
They play UMass. They play UMass, though.
What's that?
They play UMass.
New Mexico State does?
Yep.
I missed that? Oh, there it is. Last game of the season. You're right. I stand corrected. They will be a favorite in 1 game. So, and then the total on UConn is also, let me stop me if you've heard this. Oh, it's going to be 2. I thought it was going to be 1.5, Scott. You're right. They are by far the best team. Where do you play it? Where do you play there?
I would look over, but it's mostly just because they have some cupcakes on the schedule. That team's also bad. It's 3 weeks in a row, buddy. You're going to know 3 weeks in a row. They play UMass, they play Yale, and they play Middle Tennessee State. Right there. That's your only 3 shots right there. Middle Tennessee.
They have Holy Cross. I stand corrected.
I think they'll find a way to 3, but if you're looking at 2 for being a push, you got a better chance on the over than the under. They should win at least 2 games.
Yeah, I agree. I'm okay with playing the over there. So let's go through. Did you do win totals for everybody?
I didn't do it for everybody. I just picked my personal favorites.
Okay. Tell me some of your personal favorites. Who you got, bud?
I got to start off with the team to answer your original question. I think Notre Dame's the best of the independents talent-wise.
Okay.
Having said that, they're projected to have a pretty down year, which is a little bit rare because when you see a team ranked 9th in the AP preseason poll, isn't your win total usually around 10?
Yeah, you would think that's a double-digit win team. Yes.
The Notre Dame win total, 8.5. That's a little bit weird, isn't it?
I think it is. That's one. Those two things do not compute, Scott.
Correct. Now, it's a brutal schedule. As an independent, you can usually pick it to go easy, maybe a BYU approach from last year, or you can go full-on Armageddon and try to earn your spot in the college football playoff. To go through the actual tough games here, they play Wisconsin in a neutral. They play Cincinnati at home. They play at Virginia Tech. They play at home against USC and at home against North Carolina. Those are some tough games. Indeed. Now, Virginia Tech is definitely the weaker out of all those teams, but the weakest, but it's on the road. Virginia Tech's always good at home, so that's going to be a tough spot. They're also replacing a bunch of guys, a new defensive coordinator. They lost 9 starters on offense, lost a couple of quality players on defense. Jack Cohen, a former Wisconsin guy, is now the new quarterback. I was not an Ian Book fan. I think Book's better than Jack Cohen, so I think they downgraded a bit at quarterback. Having said that,
where was Cohen after Wisconsin? Somewhere in Florida, right?
No, you're thinking of Hornibrook.
Oh, you're right. You're absolutely right. My bad.
Hornibrook went to Florida State. He was atrocious, but
yeah.
Cohen at Wisconsin was a mixed bag, but he's a downgrade
from Kansas City replaced.
Yes.
Okay.
But anyway,
okay. The kid is starting for him now.
Yeah, 8.5 just seems too low to me. I know that Notre Dame has a tough schedule and they got to replace some guys. They're a preseason top 10 team. A lot of it's based on reputation. But the rest of the games on their schedule should be manageable. They have 12 games, of course, which means that they need to lose 4 out of the 5 games that I mentioned in order for it to go under. I don't see them losing 4 out of 5 out of the 5 games I mentioned. You?
Who you got? Okay, so you got them beating Toledo. Your tough games are, or your easy games are Toledo, Purdue, Cincinnati, Navy, Georgia Tech. Those 5.
I put Cincinnati on the tough scale.
Okay. Stanford.
Stanford's bad.
Okay.
I mean, that ship has sailed years ago.
Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I would probably lean over there because that's a team. It's not like when the Miami Marlins won the World Championship and sold everybody off. They're Notre Dame. They always have a top 10, top 15 recruiting class. Everybody always wants to go play for the Golden Domers. So I think they'll probably be fine. I'm excited about not seeing them in the playoffs. I got to be honest with you. I'm over Notre Dame being outclassed in the playoffs. Maybe they should just play Oklahoma and be done with it.
Yeah, but I'm looking at the overall games I talked about. Wisconsin's a tough one. I think they'll beat Cincinnati because it's at home. Virginia Tech on the road, I think it'll be tough, but I think they could win that one. USC, I know we both don't exactly like, and North Carolina should be good, but when 3 of your main games are going to be at home, I got to side to Notre Dame on that because they do have a very impressive home field advantage.
Yeah, they really do, and I'm kind of stuck there, but I'll take a slight lean over.
I see 9-3.
Now, BYU last year had a nice season, but that was kind of a jury-rigged schedule. They kind of, in some cases, literally played it week by week. So they've got a little tougher schedule. Of course, their number this year is 7. And I'm trying to see on this schedule, Scott, you think they can get to 8 wins?
I don't like Romney as a quarterback, so I'm passing. That was kind of just the main takeaway. I want to say I like the overall roster, but Zach Wilson was so good, and you replace him with Romney, who, if you've watched in minimal usage in backup roles last year, I know, of course, backup, he didn't have the right practice time, etc., but I didn't think he looked that good.
It's not Romney that was the receiver, right?
No, they have another one.
Can't swing a dead cat without hitting a Romney in Utah.
Yep, pretty much. But anyway, as a whole, I'm leaning under, but it's mostly because I can't trust the quarterback play, but I'm going to pass.
All right, yeah, and they had a great defense last year statistically, but again, if you look at the level of competition, it wasn't ideal. Can we say that, Scott?
Yeah.
They played Louisiana Tech, UTSA, Texas State, Western Kentucky, North Alabama, Ohio. There's some dogs in there for sure. So, all right. So, what stands out? What's your favorite total in this one?
So I mentioned the two that I liked, but I mentioned one. I like Notre Dame over just because I think they'll win 9 games. I think they're talented enough to do that. But my second one is one of the bottom feeders that we talked about before, and it's UMass. I like UMass over 1.5 wins at -150. Don't try this at home. Couple reasons why I like the over. I think they have 4 winnable games. They play UConn at home. They play Rhode Island. They play Maine. So they have 2 games against FCS teams that are not very good. And they play at New Mexico State, who I think might be the worst team in all of FBS. Now, when it comes to quarterback play, they got a transfer from Colorado in Lytle, who's a former 4-star recruit. So they have some talent, I guess, at the quarterback position. Mostly about the experience coming back. The perks of being a terrible team, you tend to have a lot of guys back for a while because they don't have much pro value. So they have experience, and they have 4 winnable games on the schedule. I think they can chop those 4. I'll take the over 1.5. The 2 FCS games mixed with UConn and New Mexico State, I have to like the over in that spot. You?
Yeah, I'm with you. They have just enough bad teams and again, with the FCS teams mixed in there, I think that's a fair play. I'll tell you the one I like, Scott. It's Liberty Biberty, over 9. They bring back every offensive starter from a team that was, as I recall, Scott, pretty darn good last year. They combined for 34 touchdowns as far as the quarterback play goes. Willis is very good, 20 passing touchdowns, 14 rushing touchdowns. Every offensive starter is back. They've got 9 starters coming back on defense. And if you look at the schedule, they've got 12 games on there. The only game that they're probably going to be an underdog is I'm looking at UAB and the possibility of Lafayette and maybe Ole Miss, although Ole Miss is probably going to be pretty dreadful. So that's your only 3 shots that I think here that they don't pick up the win. I like this Liberty team. Once again, Hugh Freeze is doing a number there. These guys are all back together, another year of experience. They had a big win in the bowl game against Coastal Carolina. Pretty good game there in the Cure Bowl, wasn't it?
It was some awful clock management, but it was a hell of a game.
Yep, it really was. So I like Liberty over the 9.
I don't hate that either. I do think that regular season finale, though, against Army is a huge trap game, though.
Really?
I do. If you think that Liberty's going to be potentially competing for either New Year's 6 or maybe an undefeated season, which in this case we won't be because we're talking about a win total here. But anytime you go into the final game and you have to face a triple option team that's extremely physical, I do think they can potentially get caught off guard by it because Liberty was very good offensively. Defensively, they were pretty good too. But when you face a triple option team with about 1 week to prepare after a Lafayette game, that's a pretty brutal scheduling spot.
Yeah, you're right. That's the triple option teams are never fun, and nobody does it better than Army. Unless
after the Lafayette game too, that's a pretty bad combo.
Agreed. All right, my friend. Well, let's take a look at the AAC, the American Athletic Conference. By the way, this is where the qualifier for the New Year's Day, the New Year's 6 games. This is where they came from. It was the Cincinnati Bearcats last year. I was kind of pulling for Coastal myself, but it didn't work out that way. And Cincinnati, Scott, they are can we say it? They are a prohibitive favorite in this one. They are -200. Everybody else is +400 or better. In fact, everybody else is +900 or better except for UCF, which is +400. So very, very thin, top-heavy division or conference here, Scott. Cincinnati -200. Can you talk me into putting my money anywhere else?
Not really. I think if you want to take a shot on UCF because you think Malzahn's going to give them a little bit more consistency, I know both of us didn't exactly like UCF's previous coach. So if Malzahn can instill some discipline, particularly on the defensive end, then maybe they can find their way. But I don't see it. I just think Fickell's team's too talented. I think Ritter's a great quarterback. The defense is loaded. There's really a lot to talk about for Cincinnati. I'm still annoyed they choked away the game against Georgia for the bowl game after Fickell butchered the clock management in that game. But as a whole, I think they're the best team by far. I think if you want to make an argument for them to lose, I have a sleeper, which I'm not thrilled with, but I'm going to throw the name out there. Houston at 12-1. I think maybe if you want to make an argument, my main argument for Houston is the fact that since there are no divisions in this conference, Houston somehow avoids Cincinnati and UCF in the schedule,
Right.
which is an absolute unicorn. So if you think the other teams are going to beat each other up and Houston can take care of business and avoid Cincinnati and UCF at all costs, maybe they can make it to the title game. But once again, I just see Cincinnati and UCF going at it for the conference title.
All right, I'm going to give you my thoughts here. A quick reminder, everybody, you are listening to Winners and Winers Radio. Give us an hour, and we'll give you the winners. It's kind of the problem that I have with Houston. Well, I have two problems. Well, I have three problems. First problem is Dana Holgerson. Haven't been impressed with what he's done at Houston at all. 7 last 2 seasons. And they've got a little bit. You like Tune? You like him at the quarterback position?
I like him when he has some weapons, which is not the case this season.
Well, and they lost a ton of talent at the skill position. Now, it's kind of a mixed bag on defense. They return all 11 starters. Yay. What's the bad news?
They weren't good.
They weren't good. So that's always the thing when you talk about, well, how many returning starters do they have? Well, that's only part of the question, because the other part of the question, did they suck last year? I'm sure they got another year of experience. Okay, maybe they'll suck a little bit less, but they're not going to go from last in the conference to first in the conference in defense. That's not the kind of thing that happens. So congratulations on everybody staying in school, keeping them together, but I'm going to need to see more from that Houston team. And there really is no great answer, Scott. I've got for my dark horse, I've got SMU at 25-1. And again, it's another extreme team. They've got a lot of talent on the offensive side of the ball. They're bringing in Tanner Mordecai, a kid from Oklahoma.
I liked him at Oklahoma.
And they're bringing in another Oklahoma guy, tight end Calcaterra, who is a decent tight end, 41 passes, 9 touchdowns over 3 years in Oklahoma. They got Bentley running the ball. Trey Suggs coming in, or Trey Siggers rather, from North Texas. Pretty good little running back, so they've got a nice punch. All the offensive linemen are back. Check, check, check. But again, you've got a problem with this team, and it's on the defensive side of the ball. So maybe they can step up. They've got a new DC coming in, and Jim Leavitt. He was the head coach of USF from 1997, 2009. Pretty good defense unit down there for the Bulls over that period of time. So we'll see. Again, at 25-1, you're just basically taking a scratch off here. But if I'm taking a long shot, I want a team that's really, really talented on at least one side of the ball, and I think SMU covers that base.
I only mentioned Houston because avoiding Cincinnati and UCF in a non-division conference, I think, is huge.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And as far as my win total goes, I've got Navy under 3.5. This is just number one. It's going to be another down year for Navy. They've still got questions at quarterback. They still are not. I mean, they've got basically the same guys you had last year. That's the thing about Navy. You're not bringing in a lot of transfers, right?
Yeah.
So you've got the guys that you went with last year. And this is just an absolutely brutal schedule. The only winnable games that I see for Navy, they've got Air Force on the schedule. They have East Carolina on the schedule, and they have Temple on the schedule. Of course, they do have Army. Weird things happen in those games, but Army should be a big favorite there. Scott, that's 3 games that they're not going to be double-digit dogs in. I don't see any way that they get to 4 wins.
So my favorite win total is East Carolina. I like under 5.5 at plus 120 on FanDuel. That line kind of blows my mind a little bit, just because of the fact that East Carolina has been terrible for the last couple of years. And I know that they're supposed to be better, but out of conference schedule,
right?
Appalachian State, South Carolina, at Marshall, Charleston Southern. Would we agree that that's going to be 1-3?
Yeah. Yeah, I think at best.
So I mentioned Houston not playing Cincinnati and UCF. East Carolina plays both. So if those are 5 losses right there, I got to look at the under because 5.5 at plus money for a team that's been a bottom feeder for the last couple of years is way too tempting. I'll take the plus money.
All right. Well, they are going to be favored over South Carolina and over South Florida and Temple and Navy. It could come down. It's probably going to come down to that Navy game for you, would be my guess.
I think the Navy, I agree with you, should be down, but anytime you're running a triple option and you only have 1 week to prepare, you can see some really awful defensive performances in there. And East Carolina's not good at defense.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. But the problem with Navy is they weren't that good at running the ball. They were 42nd in the country last year at rushing the football, Scott. If they're not top 5, they're not going over 500.
I'm not saying Navy's good. I'm just saying 5.5 for a game that I think Navy has a shot to win. You said that East Carolina would be favored over South Carolina? No,
South Florida.
Oh, sorry. South Florida's terrible. But the point is I mentioned those 5 games they should lose. If you're already starting them at 1-5, it's going to be pretty tough to win 6 games.
Okay, fair enough. All right, Scott, let's close it down here and change gears just a little bit. We'll stay on the gridiron, talk about the football game here tonight. And there is a couple of them. Chiefs are playing Arizona. I think we're going to talk about that one a little bit later. But as far as the other game goes, it's going to be the Washington football team and the Cincinnati Bengals. Who you got there and why?
I'm going with Washington. At the end of the day, Washington lost the first game to New England. Score looked uglier than it was because you had the 91-yard touchdown for no reason with like 10 seconds left. Right. New England proved yesterday that's a really good preseason team. And Cincinnati, I don't think is that great. So I think Washington is favored for a good reason. I actually really like the quarterbacks they have there for preseason. I thought Montez will look pretty good in the first game as a third stringer. I'll take Washington. I think they'll win going away.
Are you okay laying 5.5 in a preseason game?
I think if you have a good reason to, and the reason would be if Cincinnati decides to keep it vanilla and not use Burrow and you like the rest of Washington. I just think Washington lost and people think that's crazy. I can't bet on 0-1 team in preseason. They hung in there with New England, and New England proved yesterday that team's really good.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I think the Bengals without Burrow, the defense looked a little better.
I like the under.
Yeah, I think they've got it. It's going to be down to 34.5. I think by game time, we're starting to see it creep down from 35. And it was really weird. It opened at 33.5, and then it got bumped up to 35. And now I think we're going the other way. So we'll see. We'll keep an eye on that one. And of course, we have given an incredibly short shrift to the world of baseball. Scott, we need another hour. Just tell your congressman we need another hour.
I'll do my best.
All right, Scott. Give me good baseball play.
So, looking at the baseball card, are you really going to go wrong with just either A, fading Baltimore, or B, backing the Yankees?
Yeah, that's the Yankees are playing good ball right now, and they've got Nestor Cortez on the mound against Barnes. The guy that always gets my attention because I think it's Corbin Burns, but it's Chris Barnes. So yeah, that's a solid play.
Run lines on both. Hope for the best. I mean, Yankees run lines minus 125. I feel like that you have to consider taking that.
Yeah, any interest in taking Texas at plus 280 or so against Chris Sale?
I'm going to pass. Boston seems to do well against bad teams and struggles against good teams. They lost to the Yankees, but we saw what they did against Baltimore when they had the chance. I just think they're waiting for a bottom feeder to come in. They'll get back on track. You?
Yeah, I think that's probably right. I'm with you there. So, all right, Scott, let's take a look. And it is. It's the end of the week. It's the end of the day. It's the end of the show, and there's only one thing left to do, Scott. That's for you and I to put our heads together. We put our thinking caps on, come up with our favorite plays. So strap on those overalls, put on that strong hat, climb on that John Deere, and fire that baby up, guys, because it's time for the Friday edition of Bet the Farm. Scott, I can't remember. How did we end up doing yesterday?
We had the New England Patriots money line. Money came in on Philly because people are a bunch of suckers, and New England won by 35.
It was really close for about the first 2 minutes, so we ended up with the victory. Okay, now. Very nice. Very nice indeed. All right, Scott. So with that out of the way, let's see what we got cooked up for today. Hey, it's going to be another play from the NFL, everybody, and it is going to be your Kansas City Chiefs -3 as they go on the road to the desert to take on the Arizona Cardinals. And currently, bet online, if you want to take a little offshore action, -3, -105. You can get a little bargain there. Well, Scott, Andy Reid, Big Red, lied to us last week a little bit, but he said he wants the starters going to play for a minimum of the first half. So it looks like they're going to use game 3 as they would game 4 in a normal preseason. So this will probably be the most we see these starters. They may not play the whole second quarter because we've seen Andy lie before, but a minimum they're going to play the first quarter. And Cliff Kingsbury, he is playing games with the roster. Last week he said Murray was going to play. He did not. He's been real cagey this week. Most likely will be the same story. We'll see, but if you see him, it's not going to be for long. And it's going to come down most likely to the battle of the backups in the fourth quarter. Chiefs are going to go with Anthony Gordon versus Chris Streveler. We saw. I like Chris Steveler's, like Steveler's mom, Scott. But it's hopefully the game will be out of hand by then, and it won't matter. But I like this. I like Gordon. I like what he's done. And the other option there, if we don't see Gordon, we're going to say Shane Buechele, the SMU kid. So I like both of those quarterbacks. So Kansas City's third and fourth stringers last week against San Francisco. They did the job. They outscored them 12-7, and actually that was the difference in the game. Outscored them 12-7 in the second half. No reason they can't do it again against this Arizona squad that I don't think has the quality that San Francisco does up and down the roster. Give us the Kansas City Chiefs -3. That's going to be our BTF Bet the Farm play.
Arizona's third and fourth stringers gave up a touchdown drive to Ben DiNucci last week. I've seen enough. I one day you can talk about Arizona won. They barely beat the Cowboys, who are awful in preseason. Right. You win a close game against San Francisco, I think it holds more merit.
Good enough. All right, guys, and that's going to do it for this week's show. We appreciate you listening. Appreciate you being part of the show. Checking us out on YouTube. Don't forget to download us if you're out in the car. You want to check out the latest version. We are available as a podcast on all your favorite podcast platforms, including Anchor, Spotify, Google Play, et cetera, et cetera. So for myself, for Scott Reichel, for the whole team over here at Winners and Winers Radio, thanks very much for listening today, guys. We appreciate it. Have a great weekend. Good luck on all your plays. And we'll see you Monday on Winners and Winers Radio. Take care, everybody.